Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. How are you doing? It's Friday. What a week! What a week. Were there things that were trending this week? I don't know. I'm not sure. Nothing trended, yeah? Welcome to the show, though. This is where we talk about all trending topics, and I can assure you it will be all about the Finance Bill 2024. My name is Amina Abdirabba. Welcome to it. Hello to my panelists. Hi, Cindy.
Hey.
Hi, Macho. Hi, Mariam. How are you guys?
It's a yellow
theme. Okay, I see it.
Yellow dada.
I see the theme. I see the theme. Now, guys, we have a lot to talk about. Hey, niliwaona nyinyi wote. That's good. None of y'all were cancelled. That's good. Our show stands on business.
On business.
Now, the hashtag Reject Finance Bill 2024 demonstrations have showcased the power and influence of Gen Z. Across Kenya, young people have rallied together, harnessing the tools of the digital age to amplify their voices and effect change. The energy, organization behind these protests reflect a new era of civic engagement, one driven by the tech-savvy, socially conscious, and outspoken Gen Z. One of the most striking aspects of the hashtag Reject Finance Bill 2024 demonstrations is the use of social media as a platform for mobilization. Now, Gen Z is known for their proficiency with technology, leveraged X, Instagram, and TikTok to share information, coordinate protests, and rally support. Mike, do we have any clips on that? All right, so as we get that, let me start with Mato, because Mato, I didn't see you in town, but I saw you were there. I saw you were there. Now, I know Gen Z are getting all the credits. However, there were millennials there.
Hey, do we want to start that battle? Hey. Because, let us give it to Gen Zs, because I do not want to be cancelled. I do not want to be fought. So, it was an interesting week. Of course, I think, I saw you around the areas around Hapa Nation Center. Mimi nilikuwa huko GPO, huko katikati huko. But anyway, it doesn't.
How was it?
It was hot. It was steamy. It was fiery.
Ulikunywa tear gas?
Mpaka huko uniona na picha ya tear gas canister. Okay, ni mtu mwingine alienda kaipata, mimi nikapiga picha nayo, sitadanganya kwa sababu sikuwa hapo karibu kupigwa na tear gas kabisa, but of course tear gas ilinifikia wakati zilikuwa zinalipuliwa, ilifika mahali nilikuwa. But anyway, first off, Gen Z, thank you very much for helping us as the older generation, tutakubali as millennials, and at least some, because there were some boomers somewhere there. Thank you for helping us afford to come out, because if the numbers of Gen Zs did not become as big as it was, kungekuwa na expectation watu wanafaa kuwa kazini, watu wanafaa kuendelea na kazi, alafu sisi tuambiwe nyinyi kwa nini hamuko kazini na mnafaa kuwa hapa. Mulipatia watu holiday kidogo. Number two, one thing that I had a conversation with somebody who was at the protest that I realized was, this is one of the most different protests I have ever seen in this country. One, it had no political backing. It was fully people-led, okay?
Yeah.
Two, there was no, it's a good and a bad thing, that there was no politician leader, and that, like, there was no politician leader, it was a bad thing. There was no politician leader, it was a good thing. By that I mean, there was nobody to give people direction and say, sasa kwa sababu tuko hapa, hivi ndivyo tunasema, tunaweza elekea hivi, maoni yetu tupeleke hivi in this way. Probably moving forward, there'll be a bit more coordination, because it is very evident that the people came out and spoke. Some of the things that we have been saying on this show since we started talking about the things that we were noticing, the cracks, the chinks in the cup, we were like, hapa kuna vile hatupelekwi vizuri. Those were the things that were being voiced during the protests as well. And personally, I am very proud, and that is why I had to turn up, because finally, something I have also been saying, I have people listening to me as well and saying, by the way, hii kitu ijakuwa ikienda vizuri, tuendeni tuseme. Yes, the bill might have passed the first and the second reading, but the politicians, and I call them politicians, not leaders,
yes,
the MPs, the politicians are feeling the pinch if what has happened to Oscar Sudi and KJ is anything to go by. And by the way, and I am not saying this. It is the mood on the ground. Kenyans are tired.
And
Institutions are meant to be for the people,
Yeah.
not the people for the institutions.
Yes, tumesema punda
Choka.
punda
Okay, why does it
imechoka.
have
The
to be a
revolution.
donkey?
What else would it
But
be?
Cindy-
Who is what style is
No,
it?
'cause
Tell me
I
which
support
animal?
donkeys
Which
and
animal?
horses.
Nilisikia ati venye wameleta farasi pia watu warongai walete hizo simba. You know, like wakitupa tunatupa.
But tukileta farasi inaibiwa pia.
Yeah.
As we saw.
No, that was actually not true. That part.
Apparently, it wasn't true.
No.
Those are clips from Kitambo. Sana.
Yeah.
I was really
Apparently it
hoping
was
someone
not
just
true.
imparted with
Maria.
a horse.
Apparently
Anyway,
it was
Cindy,
not
they've said the revolution will be televised.
That it will, and you know, let me call them the millennials and the boomers, don't understand why this generation were going on the street with the mobile phones.
Yeah.
That's how the rightfully said Mato, not leaders, politicians, were trying to discredit what they're doing and saying, these guys are just looking for content. No, it is the fact that they're constantly online. That's how they're able to mobilize each other. That's how they were able to come to the streets and say enough is enough. They've grown up in a generation of information sharing. And that information sharing, if we're very honest, the initial protest was on Friday, when it was just a call to action, it was a poster, it was not as glamorous. It was, you know, guys were like, hey, well, let's wait and see. Then when guys went on the ground on Tuesday and took videos and pictures and circulated it, that's when everyone else was like, you know what? We can actually do this. Number one, why? Because it was peaceful. Number two, it was done for the good of Kenya. That means if somebody is coming, trying to steal a phone, you guys were on the ground. By the way, I wasn't there. I was in Kitui, I just landed. So tupatane next week. Musianze kunitroll.
Hapana, ungeanzisha Occupy Kitui. Sasa hapo wewe ndio
Occupy Kitui ilikuwa leo.
Okay.
It was today, and I found it on the way out. There were
Yeah.
like 15 teens and youth, and it was really fantastic. More power to them. But back to my point. When guys saw on Tuesday that, number one, it's peaceful. Some of the things that, you know, even though you want to protest, you're like, am I safe as a woman? Will somebody grope me? Will I be arrested? Will I get support? When they saw that it was like-minded people only for the good, that is when more and more people came, more and more people supported. I hear there were guys who had, you know, jerry cans of water to help you wash out the tear gas.
Yeah.
If you fall down, people came and helped you, took you to emergency. Is it you, Mato, who was saying somebody tried to steal a phone, wakamshika, wakampeleka
Yes,
kwa
mtu
makarao?
alijaribu kuiba simu akashikwa akapelekwa kwa
Kwa
makarao.
polisi.
Yeah.
It was very interesting that the TikTok buddies,
Yeah.
they showed up the way they show up on TikTok,
Yes.
and nobody did nothing to them.
No.
Yeah.
Hakuna mtu alisema toa hii nguo,
Yes.
hufai kuwa unakaa hivi.
Yep,
No,
that's
it was
true.
not for me. I
But
would
it-
not say, I would not want my children to leave home looking like that. But walitokea na hakuna mtu aliwasumbua.
Yes,
Hakuna.
because
Yeah.
it was the way you said, tumechoka. Whether you're on TikTok, whether you're in formal employment, behind a desk, you're an entrepreneur, we are all suffering from these punitive taxes, and we are saying enough is enough. Now, there are some schools of thought that say, oh, you guys made noise, but it was still not rejected. No, 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 no. A seed has been planted, and now, like you've said, the accountability that is being brought to our politicians is on another level. Do not get me started on the politician who came up about period sijui shaming and how
name
it
her.
was remixed, and later on she was found standing behind other politicians saying that, you know, she's supporting this bill, and how people pandiliad her. That is exactly the kind of accountability we want. The guys of old know that, Kenyans, kidogo kidogo tutachoka. Kidogo kidogo, we will just go with the flow. But there is a generation haijachoka. Kwanza today I'm following comments. Guys are like, iko wapi protest, by the way niko na time. Niite nitakuja. So more power to them. And I hope that the politicians who are watching can change.
Yeah, I don't think they'll change because I think they're underestimating the power.
They still are.
They still are.
Yeah.
They
still
don't
are.
think
they're,
this is
assuming-
real.
they're like, everyone now, Toto. And you know, as Mato has said, yes, there's no leader. But in as much as that is, I can see why it's a bad thing, but I am only seeing just how amazing that is. Because nobody had paid anyone who went to the streets.
Yeah.
We can see the PR stands getting goons due to go and do what. We can see all of that. People are not falling for that anymore. And when Cindy was saying, you know, she was standing behind politicians, I thought you were going to talk about the pinching, but you didn't. You didn't talk about the, be as gentle on us as you are on the cheeks.
Abuju buju. Is the abuju buju?
Mariam, I know Mariam hasn't said, what she thinks about this, but like I said, the entire show, I'm pretty sure we'll be discussing what happened this entire week on the streets, not only of Nairobi, but across the country. The hashtag is TTTT at The Trend Live is our handle. We're about to take a quick break, but we'll be right back after these short messages.
Introducing a new range of Royco spices. An explosion of rich, authentic taste. Spicika na Royco. Making those good meals great.
Did you know that malaria is a top 10 cause of death in Kenya, with over 10,000 Kenyans dying every year from malaria? And the reason being a mosquito. We believe protection and prevention
And welcome back. We're talking about the finance bill, demonstrations, and everything that went down this week. We want to hear your voice on it at The Trend Live. The hashtag is TTTT. Before the break, we didn't hear from Mariam, so I promise we'll come back with her. Mariam, what are your thoughts? I saw you as well. You've always been very vocal, by the way, about these things. And seeing all these people finally in support, finally opening their eyes and waking up. What was going through your mind?
It felt so good. Let me start with a huge thank you to everyone who showed up, everyone who tweeted, posted on Instagram, on Facebook, everyone who translated in Kikuyu, Kamba, Kisii, Luya, everything, so we could send messages to like your folks back home, your grandparents, give them this finance bill in a way that they understand, because like we were just saying during the break, information is power. A big thank you to everyone who donated money to bail out protesters, to the medics who volunteered their time at Jamia, to all the restaurants that were giving water and shelter. Like, I've never been so proud to be Kenyan. Unfortunately, the circumstances were absolute trash, but genuinely so proud to be Kenyan. Being on the ground was seeing that people were so like-minded. I'll only disagree with Mato a little bit. The fact that there is no like leader per se doesn't mean it's necessarily directionless. Even qua ground, what people were doing is the point was occupy parliament, and you could tell that everyone was trying to charge towards parliament. It's just that you're being repelled. You move 100 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters, a tear gas canister comes at you, or that the water cannon thing comes at you. But everyone was trying to move towards parliament as close as possible. And then today there's action points for the next 7 days that have come through. So the fact that there is no leader doesn't mean that there is no direction. People are talking about recalling MPs, something I've never heard before. People are talking about, okay, fine, it's past the second reading. What happens at the committee stage? What happens next? Presidential assent, nini. So we do have direction. I am just so happy for everyone who showed up and showed out in one way or the other.
Yeah.
Asanteni.
Unfortunately, we lost 2 comrades.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a young man who lost his life. His name is Rex Masai. He was allegedly shot. Why am I saying it? Anyway, sorry. Hey. Sometimes I forget I'm not on social media. I apologize. He was allegedly shot by police during the recent protests against the Finance Bill 2024. And if you guys noticed, Nairobi was the only violent city where police used excessive force.
Yes.
Why was that, Cindy? It was a peaceful protest. Now, if you were on the streets, they all kept chanting, we are peaceful.
Yep.
We are peaceful. As they were marching towards the police, people are trying to negotiate with them, talk with them. Alafu maji, chwa. It didn't make any sense. How do we not have, how can we not exercise our constitutional right to picket, to question? Mato, wait, what do you mean we cannot do this?
So what they were protecting is who we are going for.
Okay.
They were protecting the members of parliament.
Yeah.
They were protecting the people who pretend, and I say this very boldly with my chest, pretend to have the best interests of the people at heart, but they have their own selfish interests. It's interesting that, and something we've said during the break, and I'll keep saying it again, the difference is information. From the times of President Moi to Kibaki to Uhuru, the one thing that has evolved and improved is access to information, access to knowledge, and knowledge is power. Yeah. And because we have access to information, we know when things do not make sense. Yeah. And when you present things that do not make sense, there will be a rebuttal. And that is the struggle that the previous generation, which is, say, the boomers, which is the level at which a majority of the politicians are at. Then we have some millennials who are breaking into that space. And then we have now the Gen Zs who are coming up. Now, hapa kwa boomers ndio kuna shida kidogo, because I have actually come off a very heated conversation, I am going to just say, with a boomer. I'm not going to expressly say who that person was. But they were really concerned that I was part of, the demonstrations.
Why?
So their question was, what do you hope to achieve? I said, it's my voice that I need to be heard. Yeah. Because fact remains, right now, as a father of 3 children, I struggle every single day because I have this as my dependence to make sure that I give them something that will value their life after I am gone, or from where they are to the next stage. And if it's a constant struggle of fighting because people have taken loans, and they've taken loans for consumption as opposed to loans for development. And that is a problem. And even right now, if you go to your phone and you download an app and you take a loan and it is for consumption, you know how it is going to bite you. And like if you take that loan and use it for something that will help you. So people are asking, where are your priorities? Why are you prioritizing this over this other, yet you're saying this is a problem? So there was no money for this, yet there is money for this. Make it make sense.
Thank you very much.
And that is why people are angry.
So we don't have money for the school feeding program, but we can somehow find 2.4 billion for
renovations.
You know what?
So
confidential. Kuna fulani hapo inaitwa confidential.
800 million.
800 million.
Yeah.
Can we talk, how much does the First Lady make? They said how much
800 and something?
No, 696 million. How much does the DP's wife make? 500 and I think 91, if I'm not mistaken, million Kenya shillings.
Na kuna office of the spouse of the prime cabinet
Yeah.
secretary.
And what about the MPs? You know, MPs' wives also are paid
Yeah.
per month.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Yeah.
know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
so
also like 2 billion. Kenneth Obado was meant to, EACC was meant to recover 2 billion shillings from him of illegally acquired assets, allegedly.
Yeah.
They decided to settle out of, court for 200 million. That 2 billion was enough to cater for the school feeding program, by the
Yeah.
way, to figure like that budget and to get it to the other side.
Yeah.
Allow me to, if in the interest of time, to read some of the headlines in our dailies over the last 1 month. Maybe that can add to why people across all ages and generations on the streets, because we need to be in the right side of history. Enough is enough. So KRA to miss target by 300 billion despite new tax measures.
Surprise,
1.1 billion for Ruto's advisors. Be ready for higher taxes yearly, says Ruto. Deep state repairs money pit. Real wages shrink for the 4th consecutive year. Ruto bags 1 trillion deals as US6 influence. Black market to thrive as Ruto tax plan suffers blow.
Wow.
Can I just say one thing? Like this budget, this statement is, the finance bill is meant to fund our budget, right?
Yes.
The whole of last year, if there was anything we learned, is that you cannot tax your way into prosperity.
Prosperity.
So how are we doing the exact same thing? The KRA has
It's
missed
our
targets
debt.
quarter after quarter after quarter. They've been unable to meet their targets. They've been unable to achieve what they wanted with ETIMS, with every single thing that they've rolled out. The courts have stopped this, the courts have stopped that. But then we're like, let's double down. And even if you say you're paying debt, Cindy, even where are you paying the debt from? If everything that you've done up to now has proven not to work, how do you do the same thing? Like Insanity is just doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting different results.
How
Exactly.
it's just not going to happen.
how
We have
is
to
it-
take a break, Macho, real quick. Okay, so is it...
Very quick, yes.
Okay.
How is it that a 20-something-year-old will tell you that wakati mfuko yako iko pabaya, una decidingi hautaenda out. Unaweza decide usiende out. Juu
Of
mfuko
course.
ni mbaya.
Yeah.
Why would a 20-something-year-old be the one telling you that?
But because, I need to fund my lavish lifestyle, all right? I need to make sure that all my children study in other countries.
Yeah.
I can afford to go for healthcare. If I need any medical assistance, I can go to South Africa, I can go to London. And if you guys have ever been friends with politicians' kids, it feels like it's a dystopia. Where are they from?
Yeah.
How do you have that? I used to hang out with some people for a short while when I first started my career, and they would match their handbags or their clothes to their cars.
Yeah.
Politicians' children,
Yeah.
they are eating our money. All right. So tell me what you think about the finance bill. Tell me what you think about the protests that have been happening around the country and where you are watching the show from. Did you demonstrate or not? Tell me. Why did you take to the streets? And if you didn't, why not? At the Trend Live hashtag TT. We'll be right back after this. This is so nice. At least everyone now has started to wake up.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku.
Imperfections, blackheads. Try Garnier's Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, powered by salicylic acid and purified charcoal to reduce pimple-causing germs by 99.5%. One product, 3 uses for a pure skin. Garnier Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, #1 in South Africa, by Garnier Naturally.
The new KCB mobile loan is unbelievably flexible and incredibly affordable. You can now borrow up to 1 million Kenya shillings from as low as 1.2% as a 1-day, 7-day, 14-day, 30-day loan, or enjoy a longer-term period of up to 1 year at competitive rates. Dial *522# or apply on the KCB app today. The KCB mobile loan, unbelievably flexible, incredibly affordable. KCB, for people, for better. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
All right, welcome back, welcome back. Now, after makelele zenyu sawa. Walisikia kelele zenyu. Makelele zenyu za ndege ile ya 200 million. Mnaikumbuka? Walisikia. Our president listened to what you guys said. So, President William Ruto returned to the country on Monday from his trip to Italy and Switzerland aboard a Kenya Airways flight. Ruto had traveled to Italy last Thursday to join other world leaders at the Group of 7, that's G7 summit. And that's him just walking down and saying hi to people. Before he said hi to people, let me tell you, the mother of PR stance was the one. Ile kubeba suitcase, you know, guys.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Biggie G, let me tell you, Biggie G. You see, in this panel, we have people in the film industry that call Mato.
We understand
to do a series.
aesthetics.
We need to do a soap opera.
You mean to tell me, no one can allow you to even get something? Do you need help? So you mean to tell me that our DP made it all the way till there, and he had to make sure it was a, it was a Kenya Airways flight
with the Barbie pink suitcase.
Yeah. You know, and it's so funny because it feels like it's deja vu. This thing where the president and his DP have an issue, so that we're confused, and then we feel pity on one, and then we say 2027 lazima tuweke huyu wetu, huyu wetu, hizo stories zimeisha. Anyway, makelele mulisikika, sindi ulipiga kelele, ukapiga, ndo hiyo pewa, ndo hiyo.
It's good when you travel with a national carrier. At the end of the day, it is the symbol of our country and our pride internationally, and it makes sense to travel with it. I still feel it's much ado about nothing, too little, too late, because there was a private jet that was already hired, money was already spent at the biggest stage ever, which is the Americas. It would have made more sense then. So I am, as a proud Kenyan and as somebody who, despite their many faults, I love Kenya Airways, just because you have to love your own despite what happens. Same, I love Harambee Stars. Awa ni wetu, hakuna mali tunapeleka. I just feel it's much ado about nothing. I was like,
It's breadcrumbs. It's breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Guys, don't get distracted. Like, I think if there's anything we've learned this week, it's they give you these breadcrumbs to distract you from the bigger things.
Yeah.
What does your foreign travel budget for the year look like? What's your projected expenditure? You're the same person who said there's no point of African leaders going to these summits, all of us, like 20 leaders, 30 leaders, being carried in buses. We should be sending a representative. Were you the representative for the entire continent for this trip? That's the only way this makes sense, right?
Yep.
So I think we refuse to be breadcrumbed. It's a PR stunt. Unless we are seriously cutting down our expenditure on travel, on hospitality, on things like that, and we're upping our expenditure on healthcare, education, etc., it's just a PR stunt.
There are things that are unfortunately going to lose value, which is, that is the one thing that is going to suffer the most over the course of the leadership of the current regime. There's something called a gentleman's handshake. It's only as important as the word of the person shaking the hand with the other person shaking the hand. If there is one thing that has completely lost value, is when our president speaks. The way you'd hear the president and you say, you know what? Because the president said it, we are convinced it is going to happen. He's not a normal person. He is an above average citizen. If anything, he is the citizen of citizens. He is the one who, if he says something, it will happen. That has completely lost value. The number of things that have been said by the individual in that office, the number of things that have not come true, the number of things that we have been hoodwinked to see as opposed to what is. Storia, private jet, it has been there ever since he was deputy president. Saa hii ni venye imeonekana imekuwa kubwa sana. Okay, sawa, let us tone down and use the national carrier. Come on. Like,
well, I mean, the president at the time did mention, even though we can't even begin to discuss, you know, President Uhuru's regime term and, you know, what they own as a family, because we can't start pretending now that, you know, Ruto is the only person allegedly who has been involved in corruption cases here and there. So he did say that he is spending a lot of money and he was traveling then. If you guys remember that his entire last term, before he was president, he would just campaign. And so maybe we should have seen that. That was the red flag, because he was all over the place. Right? And we kept wondering, when is he in the office? And now he's just ticking off bucket list destinations.
Kumbe he has a travel bag. Kumbe he likes tourism.
Content creators,
Kumbe.
guys.
I don't think you guys could say that. Please, can they just note Mariam ndo alisema unaniingizanga kwa shida.
Catch flights, not taxes.
Thank you. Hata umenikumbusha kitu moja nikitaka kuambia, huyu anasema watu wanatumia Uber na KFC peke yake. What creators are doing right now on social media is not showing content, but showing discontent.
Yes.
There we go.
Matter.
And you know also the other thing. And you know the other thing, even with that private jet, or you know, my friends paid for me, some friends came together. Which friend is this who gives you anything for free?
Like, rule number one, I've heard that he's a big fan of the book 48 Laws of Power.
Oh, yes.
One of the first laws is never take the free lunch. So that's whatever that's telling you. And I think in future, as we go into the next stages of Occupy Parliament Reject Finance Bill, the next thing they'll try to do is make it us versus them and make it like a class warfare thing. Nini Nini Kimani Ichung'wah was saying, everybody that went there was carrying iPhones, eating KFC, sijui, going via Uber. The them is still them, the political class. The us is still us, everybody else. Don't allow yourself to be distracted.
Wow. You know, sometime last year they reported that the president had reduced the travel expenditure by up to 11 billion. And I was wondering, when did we even get there to begin with?
To get there?
Where are you going? Where
and
are you going?
Are starving.
And the fact that a chunk of the money always goes to the aids, you know, a lot of people who support what's happening are people who are benefiting from the regime. Let's not lie to each other. Or people who are in illegal businesses, whether that's drugs, whether that is money laundering. They're the ones who are saying, inatusaidia, hii inatusaidia. So let me ask you guys a question. Why was Linda Mama defunded?
Structural adjustment programs, one of the requirements of IMF. If you take a loan from IMF, you just know that essential services have to be cut down, because one of the ways that they make sure that you can pay money is to cut down on expenditure that they feel, you know, will reduce the amount of money they'll get back and the amount of money that they will get from the interest. Now, of course, because of selfish reasons, offices that don't need to be CG office of the WHO will not be shut down, because those are essential services. So they look down and they will go to the nitty-gritty. Look at school feeding program. There was one that has recently cut. What was it? How Linda Mama and all that other stuff. Back in the day when it was structural adjustment programs, more its time, that's when there was the handshake retrenchment and all that stuff. Look at what they're doing to companies, parastatals, merging them together. It is all about this loan that was paid, that was gotten to pay a debt. And this debt was gotten from eating. It was not even development. So you give me money, I eat. And then now you ask me for rent as the landlord, I'm like, oh crap, I don't have rent. So I go and borrow from the Shylock. Yes, and instead of paying that rent, I eat. So I owe the Shylock and I owe the landlord, and that is the mess that we are in.
I think that's the perfect example. When people say the IMF is the lender of last resort, it really is last resort. So likening them to a Shylock is the only way. And when they put these things, when they say like they're cutting down on social services, that's usually the first things. Also focusing on extractive things, industries that are extractive to the environment, to the country, so that they can export, devaluing currencies to make those exports, you know,
Expensive.
more expensive for us and cheaper for their people, etc. Those are all the signs that there's someone pulling strings. Even someone wrote down the fact that it's not even pulling strings. I think it's quite obvious now. Someone wrote down that if you're lobbying against the finance bill before it gets to Parliament, you don't even need to lobby Parliament. Go lobby the IMF.
Yes,
Those are the people you
absolutely.
speak to. Because those
Talk to the
changes-
boss's boss.
Yeah,
That's what
talk
you're
to-
saying.
yeah.
The real boss.
Talk
Yeah.
to the real boss.
Yeah.
Those decisions are not being made at Harambe Avenue. They're being made wherever the IMF
See,
sends.
Alpa? It's not here. We have to travel. All right, guys, so let's find a private jet. In the meantime, hawk-eyed Tanzanian journalist allegedly spots a male bodyguard from the Presidential Security Unit dressed as a woman accompanying President Samia Suluhu in the female section of a Dar es Salaam mosque. How true is this? So let's just...
No, I saw this photo.
Yeah.
They are not the same person.
Yeah?
They're not the
They
same.
are
When
not
you
the same
zoom
person.
in Kabisa, I
Yeah.
don't think they're the same.
They are not the same person.
Is
the,
it?
There's the
They
eye
look at-
structure. There is
look
the
at the nose, look at the forehead.
Actually, it's the nose, the forehead, especially the eye sockets, because you can't change the eye sockets. And somewhat
Bodyguards is just for PR.
Really?
But yes, because, and Amina, you're a Muslim, you can tell me, men are not supposed to go in where
No,
women pray,
no,
right?
no, they're not.
And if she has female bodyguards, then they can go in.
Yeah.
Why would a guy go in? I believe it's a dude.
no, it's not a
I
dude.
believe it's a
No,
dude.
but
by
I
the way.
think the question, if you're saying why would a guy go in, then that means you don't think it was a guy.
No, why would the guy go in? Because he is a male bodyguard and because the female bodyguards, to me, I think are PR.
They are PR.
Wait,
I
what?
think they're genuine, to be honest. I
Yeah.
don't. Samia,
I think they're
Madam-
just for pathos, like
Mama Samia looks to me
Gaddafi,
very
like this
genuine.
Reverend Reverend
No,
Natasha.
Gaddafi wasn't doing it for PR.
Him was doing it for
He was
other,
for an entire, it's
other
like
reasons.
Hugh Hefner. That was very
Just,
Yeah.
that's the gist.
Very
But,
different.
Cindy, remember Samia Suluhu was not voted for.
Yes.
She has not been playing the political game
Yeah.
that has been played all across Africa. Yeye anafanya vitu anaenda akiendaga. Hata sijui kama atavai for presidency again for another term.
Yeah.
But yeye anaenda akiendaga. She's doing what she can for when she's there. And then whoever will come next will continue.
Yes.
Aki si tungekuwa tuna mtu kama huyo yani.
You know, hopefully now people can consider a female leader.
Yeah.
Right? We have seen...
And a good one, not... Can I
They-
just
no-
say, Millie, hey! But good girls don't get the corner office. Facts.
Yeah,
Please.
they really don't. And the no that you screamed in Parliament
Yes.
was echoed all across the country.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many young people resonated with that no and felt heard, felt seen. It was so loud. And you know, in Parliament, they were looking at her like, look at this crazy one. Why is she screaming and shouting like this?
Kitu, I was also very happy when Jalango. Whew! But Felix said no. I was very happy. I was very happy. One thing that social media users are doing is so it has been said by other people in different ways, but I'm just going to say it this way. It's not, let us not be distracted by fighting within ourselves by saying, what I did as a protester against this bill is more
Bigger,
protestious
yeah.
It's
Than
bigger
what you did with a tweet.
than
what
yours.
you did with the...
Because
Say it
again,
again.
I think since this government came into power, on this show, we have been talking about the chinks in the cup
Yeah.
the whole time.
The whole time.
We have been saying it.
Yeah.
Just because, assuming Amina was not there on Tuesday or on Thursday, would that mean that she protested any less? No. So nobody has the right to feel that I am the better Kenyan, I am the more Mzalendo because I
Gatekeeping.
protested. Don't gatekeep
Patriotism.
Mzalendo.
Yes.
Yes, but
Yes.
please stand up and say something. You know where the shoe hurts.
Yeah.
Say something. Don't be the generation before us, the boomers. I think they went through
A
the
lot.
effects of post-colonialism, where yani kuingizwa kwa laini, there was a lot of brainwashing and actual brutality.
Yeah.
So we understand why there would be shudders if they think of doing something like this.
Yeah.
But we were brought up better. Millennials, Gen Z. Some of us, we did not go through. Tulipitia kidogo. Millennials najua tulitandikwa,
Sana.
karibu kuuliwa. Lakini at least tunaweza sema, hapana. We see when something does not make sense, and this does not make sense.
Yeah.
Na Waindi wako wapi?
Wametokea. Mimi nataka kuita
Hawajatokea, by the way.
watu wangu wa
52nd
Isili.
tribe.
The 44.
Walikuwa Amina, walikuwa
Hapana,
Amina.
walikuwa wachache. No, you guys don't understand.
Uliwaona na macho yako hivi?
Wasomali
Mimi,
ni
yes.
wengi. I saw 5 of them or 6.
Yeah.
Mariam
You know
said
me,
the
I
truth.
was with my
Who
Somali
you saw-
friends. I had
okay,
like
were
5
they-
people around
No,
me.
Okay,
no,
then I
hizi
saw your
taxes
friend.
it our
Then maybe I
friends,
saw
because they
your
own
friend.
the companies that manufacture.
Maybe I
Lakini
saw
hakuna
your
kitu
friends.
wanafanya.
Yeah, tafadhali sorry. Hey, mumesikia? Like I said, you know, partly I feel like I'm also talking, you know, about these things online. And there's something I wanted to add on to what Mato had said, and now it's disappeared. Anyway, so Eric Omondi ajulikana kwa wapi. Niliona mapema leo alikuwa decide pia atapanda farasi afanye 1 2 3, and now his lawyer has said that they cannot find where he is. So I hope he's well. Boni also said that, you know, he was almost kidnapped. I don't know what's going on truly, but let's just try as much as we can to remain positive. And as Mato has said, let's not fight amongst each other. Even though I do think that when you have, you know, a few million followers, it is, I think, your civic duty to start speaking up about certain things that are affecting a disproportionately huge part of the population. That's what I just think. But that's just me. That's just me. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Mato. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Mariam. Catch you guys next week at 10 p.m. We have the Gen Zs taking over the show as they have taken over the country. We have Mushiri Mike. We have Anini Ulalisema Guambo. You stay home. We've got this. There are several of them coming through. Make sure you watch the show at 10 p.m. time now for the news. Good evening. I'm Amina Abdirabah. Catch you at 10. Bye.
Kote nchini